The polls on the JoyNews channel, DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and we are continuing that special coverage of the motion of vote of censure against the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Just a while ago, the Speaker asking for some time to engage the MPs, but we understand that the feed is back. The Speaker is back in the chamber with some new guidelines. We can now cross over to Parliament and get the very latest of what's happening in the chamber, and we'll get some analysis on this shortly.
This is a parliament. In a parliament, we move motions. Motions are clearly defined in our standing orders, saying that we should do something or expressing an opinion. The opinion we are expressing is that the finance minister is incompetent, incapable, has mismanaged the finances of this country, and therefore should be removed. That's the opinion we are expressing. And we want you to join us in expressing that opinion. We are not saying that he should be convicted and sentenced to a term of imprisonment. We are not. We are saying that he is incompetent, incapable of managing the finances of this country, and therefore he should be removed. He should go home. Our article of appointment should be revoked. This is not a court. This is not transforming this parliament into a court. And so the issue about fair trial doesn't arise. In any case, as I argued earlier, this is a motion and this is a debate that is going to take place, and he has the opportunity to be heard. He has the opportunity to be heard. No one has denied him that opportunity. The honorable minority leader has not tied him somewhere and prevented him from coming to this house today to defend himself. He ought to be here to defend himself. Mr. Speaker, when you speak about this house not having powers to investigate matters and that it is only a court of law that has judicial powers, that is a clear misunderstanding of the Constitution. This Constitution gives quasi-judicial powers to this Parliament. Quasi-judicial powers have been given to this Parliament. That is why if you look at Article 103 of the Constitution, it is obvious, it's express. 103 deals with committees of Parliament and says that a committee appointed under this article shall have the powers, rights, and privileges of the High Court or a justice of the High Court at a trial. Mr. Speaker, so judicial power is not exclusively given to the judiciary. This Parliament has quasi-judicial powers, and if this Parliament deems it necessary, to probe into certain matters in a judicial way, this Parliament has a mechanism to do that. And that is what I want the Deputy Majority Leader to understand. So, Mr. Speaker, his objection is founded on Article 3 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 3 of the Constitution does not arise at all. When he rose, he said that he was premising his preliminary objection on Article 3(4). In fact, he started with 4A. And when we corrected him, he came back and said 3(4). Mr. Speaker, Article 3(4) only deals with attempts to overthrow the Constitution. Who is trying to overthrow the Constitution in this chamber today? Article 3 talks about an attempt to overthrow the Constitution and the duty of everyone to defend this Constitution. No one in this chamber is seeking to overthrow the Constitution. If anything at all, there is someone in this chamber who is seeking to mutilate the understanding of this Constitution. Mutilate the understanding of this Constitution. Director. This Constitution does not deny a minister who is the subject of a vote of censure a right to even fair trial, if you want to call it fair trial, because it says that he must be heard. He must be heard in the debate. And we haven't gotten to the debate yet. So allow the motion to be moved. And when we debate it, then you can bring him, allow the motion to be seconded. So that when we move to debate, then you can bring him. You can bring a Bible along. You can bring any document and defend himself. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this preliminary objection is baseless. It has no legs to stand. It does not rely on any provision of the Constitution. It finds no favor with any provisions of our standing orders. It is just as incompetent as the person we are seeking to remove. Mr. Speaker, I invite you to dismiss this preliminary objection and let's move on with the serious business of this House today. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, enough is enough. Let me assure all of you that the Honourable Minister of Finance will be given ample opportunity to defend himself. There's a vast difference between censure and removal. Censorship, because the person is appointed by an instrument of appointment. And that process is handled by Parliament and His Excellency the President. Members of Parliament and the President are not appointed. They are elected by the people. Both are elected. The Vice President supports the President. During the 4-year term, the people don't have the opportunity to come back to reconsider the decision they made in electing us. And that authority is enshrined in the People's House called Parliament. And so we are given the power to remove a member or the President or the Vice President. Our election is not through an instrument. We come in through votes and we swear an oath. And that is why in the Constitution and our standing orders, the provisions are different. Before the President can revoke the appointment, the Minister or Deputy Minister is to come before where it all started. The ladder that you climbed is the same ladder you have to go down through. And so you start with Parliament. And then Parliament now, through some constitutional appeal to the President, calling on him, that's why it's not shall, it says may, revoke the appointment of the minister. And so they are different. By premising your preliminary objection on the Constitution, you know definitely well that I don't have that authority to interpret and enforce the Constitution. My authority is to interpret and enforce the rules of the House, the standing orders. And so I cannot give an opinion on the issue of the constitutional provision that has been cited. I can't interpret them. I can't enforce them because I'm not part of the judiciary. What I can do at this time is to allow the motion to be seconded. I will give opportunity for it to be responded to, and by our standing orders, because I'm guided by the standing orders, which I can interpret. The matter will be referred to an ad hoc committee to investigate, where the minister will have the ample opportunity to defend himself, and where what our colleagues said cannot constitute evidence. The evidence will be placed before the committee. The minister will have the opportunity to defend himself. A report will be presented to the House, and we will debate that report. Honourable members, I said today, 10th November 2022, is historic, was the first motion in the nature of a removal of a minister, which was another minister of finance, was on the 10th of November 1999. So the same 10th of November is today. Now, that debate took a number of days. It started on the 10th and ended on the 12th, and the decision was taken. But that, as I said, is of a moral persuasion. It was a motion to address a public interest, urgent public concern. But this one is constitutional. It's more serious. And so you get ample opportunity to dilate and present your evidence, and the minister will be given the opportunity to defend himself. Don't forget that in our standing orders, they say that the minister can appear before the committee with counsel. A counsel cannot appear on the floor of the House. It has to be at the level of a committee. And that is why, under the standing orders, when you go through the standing order 106, standing order 106, 1, it reads, the House may pass a resolution to remove the President, the Vice President, Mr. Speaker, and Deputy Speakers, and a vote of censure on a Minister of State. The second line, as we say, the second sentence is, the House may consider such motion and come to a decision or refer it to a committee on a motion made by any member. And that is why I will be referring it to a committee, because the minister is entitled to appear before the committee with counsel. That will also give the applicants the opportunity to put across the evidence at their disposal. And then they will report to the House, and the decision will be taken. I dismiss your preliminary objection, and I will call on the Minority Chief Whip to second the motion, and then I'll come back to the majority side to respond before the referral to the Ad-hoc committee. So please, Minority Chief Whip, you may now second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the minority leader as appeared on pages 5 and 6 of today's order paper. And Mr. Speaker, to do so, permit me to just repeat items 6 and 7 in the motion. And Mr. Speaker, the alarming incompetence and frightening ineptitude resulting in the collapse of the Ghanaian economy and excruciating cost of living crisis, and 7, gross mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy, which has occasioned untold and unprecedented hardship. Mr. Speaker, where did we start with the Minister of Finance? Mr. Speaker, we started with the Minister of Finance on the budget statement he read to this House on behalf of His Excellency the President in 2017. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I quote paragraph 19, page 3 of the 2017 budget statement. I quote, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the budget will set the pace for job creation and accelerated growth for the by empowering the private sector. To accomplish this, we will shift the focus of economic management from taxation to production. This will reduce the cost of doing business and create a conducive climate for investment and job creation. In this regard, a number of taxes that impede growth will be reviewed and, if necessary, abolished. Government will reverse the recent low growth trend by boosting agriculture and industrial productivity. Unquote, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I quote again, pages 2 and 3, paragraph 14 of the same budget statement 2017. This commitment, however, is hampered by 5 constraints which we need to overcome. 1, low revenue collection. 2, expenditure overruns and corruption. 3, high wage bills. 4, rigidity of fiscal structure caused by heavy earmarking of tax revenue. And 6, high debt service payment. Mr. Speaker, this was where Mr. Kenofurata started with us. And he told us that these were the problems that he was going to deal with. Mr. Speaker, 6 years down the line, where are we? Mr. Speaker, this is the finance minister that has moved our debt from averagely 120 billion Ghana cedis to over 500 billion Ghana cedis. This is the finance minister, Mr. Speaker, that has moved our debt servicing from 14.1 billion in 2016 to averagely about 48 billion in 2022. Mr. Speaker, this is the finance minister that has moved our wage bill from approximately 14.4 billion in 2016 to now 37 billion in 2022. And Mr. Speaker, how did they increase or how did they balloon the wage bill? Mr. Speaker, you have right from the presidency, presidential staffers that have moved from a petrol about 300 staffers to over 995 presidential staffers in 2022, as reported to this House for the 2021, the number of presidential staffers that we have. Mr. Speaker, if you go to almost all the public agencies, you will see persons that have been engaged just because they are party apparatchiks who do not really have anything to do. And a clear example, Mr. Speaker, is our municipal district, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. Mr. Speaker, you will have a district assembly that will have assistant directors. Some have as many as 14. Some have 18. And they alternate in coming to office. Mr. Speaker, this is the minister who is claiming that all the sufferings that we are seeing today is as a result of the COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, this is the finance minister who took advantage of the COVID situation and got in excess of 22 billion Ghana cedis that was supposed to support the economy. This is the only country, probably one of the few countries in the world, that during COVID, whilst ministers of finance were doing everything to support the individuals, in our country, this was the finance minister who decided to tax us because of COVID. So we have COVID levy. This finance minister, Mr. Speaker, has made this his habit to avoid coming to this house even when he has duties to perform in this house. Today is a typical example of deliberately refusing to be here. Mr. Speaker, this is the finance minister that deliberately falsified documents or figures just to create an impression that everything was going on. And Mr. Speaker, if you take the budget and the reporting that he has done to the IMF and the World Bank, in 2019, Mr. Speaker, in 2018 first, he reported to this House that the fiscal deficit was 3.9% of GDP. When he now has to report to World Bank, the actual was 7.1% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, he came to report to this House that the fiscal deficit was 4.8% of GDP. When the actuals are now to be reported to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, the actual is 7.1% of GDP. In 2022, he reported to this House that the fiscal deficit was 11.7%. When the actual, when he was now confronted to report the truth, the actual is now 17.2%. In 2021, Mr. Speaker, he reported to this House that the fiscal deficit was 9.2, when the actual was 12.4. Mr. Speaker, for the first half year in 2022, the fiscal deficit is 5.6% above a target of the 3.9. Mr. Speaker, what are we waiting to see from this minister before all of us will now believe the time has come for him to exit is now? Mr. Speaker, this was a minister who emphatically told the whole world that Ghana will never go to the IMF. Yes, it is said that it's only the fool that doesn't change his mind. But he said it with emphasis. Today we are at the IMF. Mr. Speaker, I'm reliably informed he is part of the impediment that is not making us complete the negotiation at the IMF. And you, Mr. Speaker, you hear senior economists in this country stating this for a fact. One typical one is Mr. Kwame Penim, who says that this finance minister is hindering the progress that Ghana has to make at the IMF. Mr. Speaker, poverty, as reported by the World Bank, is growing very fast in Ghana due to this incompetent finance minister. Mr. Speaker, I must say that the time to act is now. The time to act is now. This excuse that, oh, let him finish the IMF negotiation, let him present a budget, let him finish the appropriation. Mr. Speaker, you and I know that it doesn't take just one person to complete these processes. This budget, last 2 years, when he was not available, we had the majority that reading the budget. The budget of this country did not collapse. Mr. Speaker, there are technical people who prepared this budget. It is not the finance minister. If it is removed today, the budget of this country will not collapse. There are equally technical people who will carry on for the next person to be able to carry the mantle. Mr. Speaker, I will refer you to the day that these motions were filed. With just the announcement of the possibility of the finance minister being removed, Mr. Speaker, you yourself acknowledge this in your seat. Our currency started having its strength. And at least for the past 2 weeks that the whole country is waiting for today, we are seeing some similar stability. Our failure today to remove the finance minister will continue to hurt each and every one of us. It will continue to hurt our constituents. It will continue to hurt the economy. It will continue to hurt businesses. Businesses are collapsing. Ordinary citizens are now struggling to feed themselves. This is a responsibility for all of us. And I just want, Mr. Speaker, to urge my colleagues, especially the Rambo 80, to have at the back of their mind. You have a reason for rebelling. Rambo 80. You know this is a finance minister who doesn't listen. You know the effort that you've made severally to get him to do the right things, and he refused. Those are the reasons that led you to rebel. I can assure you, if you backtrack, you will regret it. Because you know the kind of president and his family that you have. They will surely come after you. It is better today you help us to remove him. It will give you mileage. It will make people believe you. All the rumor that was going around that people made an attempt to bribe you. Today you need to justify it. You need to prove to the world that you were never bribed. You were never influenced. And truly your move to get him removed is not out of hatred. It is simply on basis of principle. Keep to the principle today. Mr. Speaker, I will say this is a finance minister who deliberately and consistently throughout his tenure has been dragging his feet when it comes to releases that Parliament has approved to statutory funds. These statutory funds, some are constitutional, some are by legislation in this House. This finance minister deliberately frustrates these statutory funds so that they are not able to perform. Mr. Speaker, one, constitutional, common fund. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, common fund, the arrears is over 3.9 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, with that fund, the arrears are over 3 billion Ghana cedis. The health insurance fund, the arrears well over 2 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this is a finance minister that we must remove. Mr. Speaker, there was this thing the minority law was saying. We have the men. We have the men. We have the men. And you heard the vice president screaming, what a solid team. What a solid team. What a solid team. Today, when the real challenges came, we have now come to realize that apparently it was not the men they have. They were just area boys. They were area boys because they are not able to confront the real challenges that confront our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to end. Mr. Speaker, I want to end with reference to Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 82(4) is very, very clear. And Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to urge, Mr. Speaker, you being the chair, to be mindful of Article 82(4), that a minister of state, in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated, under clause 3 of this article, is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defense. Mr. Speaker, the catchword is during the debate. Mr. Speaker, I didn't get the opportunity or the privilege to attend Procedural. Neither did I get the privilege to attend Achimota. But Mr. Speaker, for during the debate, I believe it means during the debate. And this is the time after seconding for the debate. And that's when the minister is supposed to be heard. Mr. Speaker, when you come to our standing orders, I want to refer, Mr. Speaker, the 106 and 108 of our standing orders. Mr. Speaker, Order 106 is very, very, very clear, and 108. In the case of 108, Mr. Speaker, it is virtually a verbatim lifting of the 82(4) of the 1992 Constitution. The interesting thing, Mr. Speaker, is 106, and I read, the House may pass a resolution to remove the President, the Vice President, Mr. Speaker, and the Deputy Speakers, and a vote of censure on a Minister of State. And Mr. Speaker, my interest is here. The emphasis is here. The House may consider such motion and come to a decision or refer it to a committee on a motion made by any member. Mr. Speaker, with all respect and humility to you, in this text, nowhere did he say Mr. Speaker will refer the matter to any ad-hoc committee. It says that the House may take a decision, and decision in this House, Mr. Speaker, is taken by vote. So if any member can move a motion that something should be referred to a committee, Mr. Speaker, it is for the decision of this House. That is what Order 106 is saying. And therefore, we have to vote on it.
Honorable,
Listen to him. Sit down and listen.
you are completely out of order. Honorable member, I don't take my rulings lightly. Please. You are attacking my ruling, and I think you don't have that authority to do so. If you want to attack my ruling, come by a substantive motion. Your understanding of during the debate of matters before the House is not only during plenary session. At the committee level, what we do there is to debate. That is why when you agree at the committee level and you come and put across the case here, you don't waste time in debating again. Please, that is why the same rules that apply to plenary apply to committee level. When you talk about decision, yes, the decision is taken by the House. The decision is not taken by the Speaker. But it says, or refer it to a committee on a motion made by any member. The motion for censorship will have to be made by a member. And then you refer it to a committee. That is exactly what I said I'm going to do. Yes, you go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect to your office, the House is defined in these standing orders as Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, Parliament, it is this chamber with the 275 members. Mr. Speaker, when it refers to
Honorable member, please, the House cannot be constituted without a Speaker. You must understand that. It's when a Speaker is presiding that it becomes a House. You can't have this room with 275 members seated there and call yourself a House. You must move away from the understanding that you are the makers of everything here. I've been listening to you. Don't give me that temptation.
Mr. Speaker, I hope I have your permission to continue speaking.
Yes, you have my permission, but
Speaker,
I think that you have to withdraw
so
what you
long
said.
as I hold this
Honorable member, you have to withdraw it and apologize.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, no. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy you've given me the permission to speak. And Mr. Speaker, one of the cardinals of democracy is to listen to each other, even when we disagree with each other. And Mr. Speaker, on Order 106, I am reading to say the intention to refer this to a committee.
Honorable member, resume your seat. Resume your seat.
It is wrong. It cannot be right. Remember before the Speaker says it. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion with a clear indication any attempt to move this matter to a committee will be a travesty of justice done to the chamber of this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I direct that all what the minority chief has said, after I have told him to withdraw and apologize, be expunged from the records. I so direct Hansard expunge everything from the record. Minority Chief Whip, you have a difficulty in catching my eye again. Yes, Majority Leader. Majority Leader. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move the motion. It's been seconded by the whip. Normally, we'll hear you state that motion as moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. If you do so and hear the leader, we'll be happy. Then we know that we have a competent motion before your House, before you take any consequential action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader, I thought the good thing for you to have done was to have apologized on behalf of your assembly. Please.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize on behalf of the whip. Thank you.
Honorable members, the Minority Leader is right in drawing my attention to the fact that I should have stated motion moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. That is the right thing. And I will do so. Honorable members, motion moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I take a cue from the indication that you gave that at the end of it, the motion shall have to be referred to a committee. And Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I want to raise issues with respect to the preliminary objection that I said I was going to raise. Mr. Speaker, the motion is predicated on Article 82 of the Constitution, and the Minority Leader has given us that indication. Mr. Speaker, as we stand here today, I don't even really know which motion is before us. Mr. Speaker, I say so because on Tuesday, October 25th, when we came to this House, and the Minority Leader signaled that they were collecting signatures to file a vote of censure on the Minister for Finance, the Minority Chief Whip was loud and clear that he had filed such a motion. And the motion came to be admitted by your good self, Mr. Speaker. That motion, which appeared thereafter on Thursday, 27th October 2022, bears the sponsorship of the Honorable Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka. Mr. Speaker, the motion that is before us today bears the sponsorship of the Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak. The Speaker, how did this metamorphose? Motion that you admitted, sponsored by the Honorable Muntaka. Today, we have a motion. I'm misleading the House. I have it here. What is what? Mr. Speaker, it is here. Let's look at
Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader. Minority Leader. Honorable leaders, please, resume your seats. Honorable leaders, resume your seats. Honorable members, the motion that was filed completely complied with the law, and I admitted it. There is no question about that. So, Minority Leader, the motion has been moved, it has been seconded, it's now before the House.
Mr. Speaker, I will move on. I've made a distinction, I'll move on. Mr. Speaker, withdraw it. I'm talking to facts here on the other paper. What should be withdrawn? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
please. What Adring add, which I will add, is that all what the Majority Leader said with regard to the admissibility or propriety or otherwise of the motion that is being moved.
Mr. Speaker, I will not challenge it. I'll go on. Mr. Speaker, now the Constitution that you quoted, Article 82(4), that he quoted, provides, and that is where he predicated his. Mr. Speaker, it says, a minister of state in respect of whom a vote of censure is debated under clause 3 of this article is entitled during the debate to be heard in his defense. Mr. Speaker, hearing a person, if we submit to the Constitution, the right to be heard includes the right to be heard either by himself or by an elected counsel. You can shake your head. Mr. Speaker, Article 69, Clause 7 of the Constitution is explicit on this when it comes to deal with the president. Mr. Speaker, 69(7) provides that is in respect of a motion of censure or an impeachment motion on the president, that the president shall be entitled during the proceedings of the tribunal or of the medical board to be heard in his defense by himself or by a lawyer or other expert. Mr. Speaker, the right to be heard includes the right to be heard by counsel. I mean, this is fundamental. So if my colleague, the member for Boku Central, is saying that service, we are even talking about service, and he says that the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs should be giving notice to the Minister of Finance once a motion is moved. Mr. Speaker, this is a tragedy. If that is the understanding of a member of Parliament who has served here for more than 4 terms, to tell me that I have the responsibility to ferry motions to ministers, that is very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, now, Article 12.
Honorable Majority Leader, I wouldn't have stopped you because you are in full flight, but you mentioned his name. Yes, yes. If you had stood up, I would have given you the opportunity. So let me hear him, and then I'll come back to you.
Mr. Speaker, he mentions my name, and in addition, says that my understanding of the Constitution is tragic.
It's what?
My understanding of the Constitution is tragic.
Oh,
And that I a supposed 4 terms member of this House has such an understanding of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I believe
It's a sin.
the majority leader, who I know is a friend of mine, and whose knowledge of parliamentary procedure I admire, but whose deficiency in the law is also well established, should not be saying such things. Mr. Speaker, you cannot refer to Article 69, which deals with the procedure for removing a president, where the issue is medical, if it is on health grounds, and mental capacity. And the Constitution requires that you set up a medical board, and then says that when the president is appearing before such a board, he is entitled to send either a lawyer, an expert, or any other person who can help him. You cannot try to extrapolate and say that Article 82, which is equally clear on a vote of censure, and you made it very clear that we should understand that a vote of censure is not the same as a vote of removal. It's just censure. And censure is to say that we don't like what you are doing and recommend that you should be removed. But we are not the ones to remove you. So, Mr. Speaker, Article 82 is very clear that he has a right to be heard, and to be heard in the debate, during the debate. You can't say that the right to be heard means that you should come along with the counsel. Assuming, Mr. Speaker, is not magnanimous enough to refer the matter to a committee and says that he should come and then defend himself here. Where is the lawyer going to get a platform to defend himself in this chamber? Where is that lawyer going to get a platform in this chamber to come and be heard defending a finance minister?
He's not president.
He is not a president. The problem we have in this country is that some of you have transformed him into a president. That's why we are suffering the way we are suffering. Mr. Speaker, he should withdraw what he said.
Honorable members, please, let's have a decorous debate. Let's be decent in the choice of words. Let's respect each other's views. But I think for the issue of counsel, look at Order 201. Order 201 guides us on the issue of counsel, not the Constitution. The Constitution deals with other areas, but Order 201, where you have committees inquiring into matters, even they can call the Attorney General to assist. The witness can come with a counsel. You want the person to be heard properly. And I think that it cannot be done here. All what you have stated here are all allegations. When you appear before the committee, you will now produce evidence. And then the minister will now counter. The minority leader in moving the motion referred to some of the areas you can get the evidence. And therefore, he will bring that to the House, to the committee. He talked about PIAC report and all those things. What he has said, we can't take that as a gospel truth. Is that evidence that will come before the committee? The committee will go through it, and then in the report, they will refer to it, they will quote it, and then we have a better decision to debate. That is how I think this thing should be handled. Please, Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker,
Please,
thank you.
Your colleague was not happy with some of the choice of your words when you said he was supposed to be a 4-term member of parliament. But is he or he's not? He's not supposed to be.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, you heard what he...
I will come to that.
When he said that we have mutilated the understanding of the Constitution, it was from him. You said so. That
Yes.
we have mutilated the understanding of the Constitution. Yes. So when I say that your own understanding and interpretation is tragic, you don't take that.
Honorable Majority Leader,
You don't take that.
You
are
did
saying
not-
that I have deficiency in law. We know the lawyers of substance. in this
Honorable
country.
Majority Leader,
Certainly, that will include you.
you know the practice. If you had stood up and raised objection, I would have listened to you and I would have overruled him. You did not. But he has taken the opportunity to raise concern about it. And that has to be addressed.
Mr.
Yes.
Speaker, I think that we will depart from that. I was raising preliminary objections. And I think I spoke about Article 82 and 67.9. The 67.9, I said by parity of reason, the right to be heard includes the right to be represented by counsel. And that was the point I was making. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution in Article 12, the Constitution in Article 12, Mr. Speaker, if I may read, Mr. Speaker, Article 12 provides that the fundamental human rights and freedoms enshrined in this chapter shall be respected and upheld by the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The rights of citizens, including ministers, should be upheld by legislature. So, Mr. Speaker, I was just saying that the right to be heard, which includes the right to be heard through a counsel, a lawyer, must be upheld by this House. When the Constitution provides in 82.4 that he has a right to be heard, you think that the right to be heard by counsel should not be included. That is where I disagree with you. And Mr. Speaker, the very preamble of this Constitution, which expresses the vision of this state, in fact, obligates us in the preamble to subscribe and commit to the rule of law. So, Mr. Speaker, the point that has been raised by the Deputy Leader is that we should comply with this. Mr. Speaker, some of the issues that have been raised in the motion, the items 5, 6, and 7, they bear a semblance to what was done in 1999, the one that you referred to. But indeed, the ones in 1, 2, 3, 4 have connotations of criminality. And Mr. Speaker, we should make a distinction. That's the point. That's the point. That if it borders on criminality, the person that you are charging must be given ample space to be heard. Mr. Speaker, and that is what we are saying, that we should grant him. Indeed, Order 80, Order 20 of our standing orders reinforces this. Both 20 and 21 reinforces this. The Speaker, we have related to Standing Order 108C. I want to mention C because our colleagues were dwelling on during proceedings and so on. The C says that the 108C provides that a motion for a vote of censure on a Minister of State shall be moved in the following manner. During the proceedings of the motion, indeed, it's not only the debate. The order 108, the Speaker, C says that the minister shall be entitled to be heard in his defense during the proceedings, not just the debate. So, people who are just talking about the debate, they are even totally wrong. And that's why I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, when you say that we should commit this to a committee. The Speaker, on the strength of that, I would want to agree with you and indeed move in accord with 106.1 that this matter that is before us be given to a committee, an ad-hoc committee that will go and further inquire into this matter and then come to us with their findings. Mr. Speaker, in that regard, I would want to also urge the committee that may be given this responsibility to define for us the procedures to guide the conduct of business. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are today relating to one minister. Who knows whether tomorrow it may come to a president or vice president. It should not be left to mere episodic reactions. We should have a proper structure that then would relate to this matter that is before us. And Mr. Speaker, accordingly, as I said, I move so that this matter is referred to a committee to be constituted by this House to deal with the matter. I thank you very much for the space granted.
Mr. Speaker, I know the leader of government business have sat, but Mr. Speaker, on matters that impugn my integrity, I take them very, very seriously. Because, Mr. Speaker, yes, even though you have ordered that is the expunged from the record.
Minority Leader, I got all what he said, expunged from the records, and corrected him that it was complied with, and I admitted it. So there's nothing on the records, because I got that expunged from the records. And so you haven't done anything wrong. I really stated that. So don't put anything back on record again, because this has been expunged. As discussed with the leaders, I want the feedback before I do the referral. I pass information to the leaders, and I need the feedback. I'll act on it now. And I intend, honorable members, why are you on your feet? Yes.
Speaker, I was seconding the motion for the committee to be established.
I haven't yet proposed a committee. Yes.
Thank you.
Let us speak.
Ahmed, I haven't heard you.
Mr. Speaker, the ranking on finance was on his feet, so I wish you listen.
Yes, Honorable Atufosun.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thought you said that the motion has been moved and seconded and is for the consideration of the House. Mr. Speaker, I thought at that point at least you hear 1-1 each before you do the referral. So I was only trying to make that appeal before you do the referral so that we can state the position as it is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Actually, you will be heard when we come to the debate. The matter will come again to the floor. I'll give you opportunity. By that time, The evidence will be in the report for all of us to see, and then we can debate that. Honorable members, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not a lawyer and I've not been to Harvard School of Law, but I want your guidance on this because commentators are going to be commenting on it. Mr. Speaker, I was learning when you were giving the rulings and those things, and I appreciate it. So I want you to guide me on this so that I will add it. Mr. Speaker, Article 83 plus 3. I want us 82 plus 3. I want us to be specific so that we know where we are going. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I want to quote Article 82(3). The motion shall be debated in Parliament within 14 days after the receipt by the Speaker of the notice for the motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to know where we are. Does it mean that within the 14 days, from 24th to 10th November, the constitutional days within which the motion must be debated elapsed after the 14th day? I don't want our colleagues on the other side tomorrow to come to say that, oh, now the Constitution says within 14 days, and therefore the 14th day ends on the 10th. And because of that, anything that you do after the 14 days, they will want to debate us on that. I know the people we are dealing with. And Mr. Speaker, I want your guidance on this.
Honorable member, I did mention my authority does not extend to the interpretation of the Constitution and the enforcement of the Constitution. I can only apply my understanding of the Constitution, but I cannot interpret it like in a debate of this nature. My understanding of debated within 14 days means the debate must commence within the 14 days. It doesn't mean that the debate must be concluded within the 14 days. And so we are right to have commenced the debate within the 14 days. But you know the process, and we are dealing with justice. We are not, honorable members, the debate is not ad hominem. We are not debating the person Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. No. It's the position, the functions, the duties that we are looking at, not the person. It could have been any person. And that is why in 1999, the person that occupied that position was the one that was called upon, Honorable Kwame Pepra. So please, it's not the person that we are debating. No, the motion is very clear. After consulting leadership, I'm going to inform you the composition of the committee. The committee will be an ad hoc committee specifically for this motion. And the committee is to present the report within 7 days. Within 7 days. The committee, in consultation with leadership, will be chaired by 2 co-chairmen. The co-chairmen are Honorable Dominic Ayine and Honorable K.T. Hammond. The other members are Honorable Samuel Ablakwa, Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, and Honorable Bernard Ahiafo. On the majority side, the other members are Honorable Yao Buama, Honorable Emmanuel Anyimedu, and Honorable Ajapa Mesa. So we have 8-member committee, and the clerk to the committee is in the person of Honorable member, let me finish. When I compose and you are not satisfied, you can raise it. The clerk to the committee is Mr. Puaman Camilo. He is the clerk to the committee. And I said you are to report within 7 days. The House within 7 days. Now, I thought you were quoting the Constitution to me. When he said within 7 days, within 14 days, did he say working days? Did he say sitting days? So why are you trying to force me to add sitting or working? But it is known when you say 7 days, it means 7 working days. Within 7 working days. The proposal is in consultation with leadership. I hope and I pray that this will be accepted by the House. You are a member. You are not, so I'll listen to you.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to make a plea that the sittings of the committee be telecast live, given the nature of the matter, and that it be made public, just like the Sputnik V hearings were, in the spirit of transparency and accountability and social justice and equity. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you remember you took me to Kigali for the Rwanda for the IPU meeting. And Mr. Speaker, the matter and the thing of the World Global IPU meeting was gender parity. How can 138 members who submit 4 names and no female? Mr. Speaker, we brought 4, and we brought a senator, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins. You brought 4. Mr. Speaker, they must add 1 female so that the 8-member committee will be consisting of 6 male and 2 female. It cannot be, Mr. Speaker. No.
Yes, honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, we submitted 4 names to you. Mr. Speaker, Emmanuel Anyimedu entry, as pronounced or as announced by you, Mr. Speaker, was in error, and that error came from us. Mr. Speaker, it should be Kwame Anyimedu entry. That is my first issue. Issue 2, my respected friend and colleague, Sam George contains that you should make certain pronouncements. Mr. Speaker, he referred to the Sputnik V committee, of which I chaired, and my respected friend Akando was a vice chair. It wasn't a pronouncement by the chair, but the committee met. The practice is that when such referrals are made, the committee will meet and make certain determinations. So I think that he should hold his energy levels at a very low level. And Mr. Speaker, allow the committee to do its work. I so thank you on that score.
I identified our senior member, Honorable Cletus Aboka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, I don't intend to arrest your decision or ruling. But I want to leave this chamber with a clear mind. If we are talking about censorship on a minister, in my view, that is captured in Article 82 of the Constitution and Order 108 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. 108. If you look
108.
Yes, 108. If you look at these two, the Constitution, Article 82, and the Standing Orders, Order 108, there's nothing about formation of a committee to resolve this matter. It is in respect of the removal of a speaker under Order 107 that deals with the formation of a committee. So if we have to appoint a committee of this nature, what would be the terms of reference for us to do this work? I will respectfully invite you to revisit Articles 82 and Standing Order 108 and let us know where the authority or the reference to a committee comes from. The mandate, where does it come from? With the greatest respect. And what will be the terms of reference?
Honorable Cletus Aboka, a very senior member of Parliament, read Order 106. The short title says, votes of censure and removal. It proceeds to say, 1. The House may pass a resolution to remove the President, the Vice President, Mr. Speaker, and the Deputy Speakers, and a vote of censure on a Minister of State. The House may consider such motion and come to a decision or refer it to a committee on a motion made by any member. Honorable member, I've heard you, I've seen you, I know you. When you talk about the House, the person leading the House is the Speaker. The House itself cannot refer a thing to a committee. It's not done anywhere in the world. It's the Speaker who refers matters to committees. And they used to call the committees the Speaker's Committee. Why? Because the Committee of Selection is chaired by the Speaker. And it is the Speaker that, through the leadership, will compose the committees and bring it to the House for approval. Please, you need to learn and learn fast. Honorable members, again, I repeat, we have set up a committee of 8. The committee will have to report within 7 days. My colleague, Honorable Cletus Aboka, was talking about terms of the committee. Clearly, he himself referred to the Constitution and the standing orders. When you set up committees of Parliament and you are referring things to them, what are the terms of the committees? It's the Constitution and the standing orders. So what terms are you talking about? I don't want to debate you on this issue, but I think you are completely out of order. Honorable members, are so direct, and I expect that within 7 days we get a report from the committee, then the House will be properly positioned to conclude the debate on the matter. Then, please, leadership, get your team ready for the final debate. With this, I want to thank all of you for supporting the House to do what I believe is the right thing. This will guide us in the new standing orders to detail out the procedure. And so please, Standing Orders Committee, kindly take note. With this, I'm grateful to all of you.
And thanks for staying with us here on the JoyNews channel. Live pictures there from Parliament. Obviously, the minority side and happy with the ruling by the Speaker of the House. For now, we know that Ken Oforiatta has been given a lifeline of 7 more days, after which we are likely to witness another debate on the floor of the House. The disagreements over the propriety or otherwise of the Speaker of the House referring the matter to an ad hoc committee. That is being challenged on the floor, but it appears that finality has been brought to the matter, with the Speaker clothing himself with the leadership powers of the House. Order 106 is where, of course, the Speaker is laying his claims to, as opposed to some of the concerns being raised by the minority side of the House on Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. These matters will continue to unfold in the next 7 days, as we're expecting the Finance Minister himself, either through the help of his counsel, to appear before that ad hoc committee. And of course, we do have a sense of the co-chairs, which is quite another unique process that we're witnessing. 2 individuals will be chairing that 8-member committee. We do have Katie Hammond as one of the co-chairs, and on the minority side, Dominic Ayine as well, who will be co-chairing with Katie Hammond. The others, we know of Zaneto Ejiman Rawlings, we know of Samuel Okudzeto Blakwa on the minority side, and on the majority, Anyimado Entry is a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. In fact, he's the chair of that committee, so he will be representing. We know of a Japan Mesa as well, representing on that committee. So that's a sense of what's just transpired. But let's get the reaction of some former members of Parliament now. Joining me is Rasmus Barak, former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure that you're learning of the latest directive by the Speaker, laying claims to Order 106 of the House. He says that he has the powers to refer this matter to an ad hoc committee. What's your take on what's transpired so far? Russ, you would have to first of all unmute, and once you unmute, I'm sure we'll be able to hear the points that you're making. Ras Mubarak, if you're with us, I'm just asking about your reactions to this latest ruling by the Speaker. And definitely what you have now on the screens, the minority side is still in disbelief following that ruling by the Speaker of Parliament. We can try Ras Mubarak once more. Ras, so the proceedings have come to a close, at least for now, a lifeline to Ken Oforiatta, who has been asked to leave office by the minority. They wanted a constitutional process of motion of censure, but that process is being elongated some more through this latest ruling by the Speaker of the House. 7 more days to hear him out. What's your take? Kindly unmute for me so I can hear you, Ras.
It's been a very, exciting day in Parliament. Clearly, for those who thought that today was going to be a day that the motion was going to be debated, clearly they didn't understand, what the procedures were in Parliament. The Speaker's guidance has been very instructive that an ad-hoc committee be set up, to look into the matter. I think that the state of confusion had arisen because of the way the standing orders of Parliament itself is structured. And it wasn't surprising that the Speaker mentioned that some of the things that have emanated from today would, or should be incorporated in a new standing order. Clearly, in any situation of natural justice, you would want to give whoever has been accused of wrongdoing, a very fair hearing. So it is standard practice that he be given an opportunity to respond and respond appropriately, and to be able to appear before an ad hoc committee of Parliament by himself or with a legal representation. What I find worrying is the fact that for the first time in our history, you see an overreach into Parliament by a political party. I mean, it was the New Patriotic Party that issued a 3-line whip to its members, to abstain from debating the matter. And I thought that was very, very, very unfortunate, given how far we have come in our democracy, and, members of Parliament are elected even though on political party tickets, but by their constituents. And it's important that decisions that are taken
And Raj, while you adjust your lines, of course, we're having some challenges hearing you on the very last point you're making. But obviously, you're talking about how unhappy you are about the decision from the NPP side, asking all of its MPs not to participate in the debates for today. But the latest ruling of the Speaker comes at a surprise to many who are hoping that at least that decision will be put to a vote. Because looking at the standing orders he's referring to, the concluding part talks about a referral based on the decision of the House. He's arrogating to himself the leadership role of the House. He says, I'm the leader of Parliament as a House. You cannot be constituted unless I preside or unless a Speaker is presiding over the House. And so he's arrogating the leadership role to himself. And yet the argument from the minority side is that that decision ought to be subjected to a democratic process.
That's whilst trying to find a proper, parking space to hear you properly.
Yes.
I needed to pull over.
But the point
in order
basically
not to violate the laws.
Right. But the point I was making is the controversy over the standing orders, 106 as the Speaker is referring to. The concluding part of that requirement is that the decision must be made by the House for either a referral to an ad hoc committee. The Speaker says he's the leader of the House. The House can only be constituted once he presides or once the Speaker is presiding. And then we have the minority side saying that decision of referral ought to be subjected to the plenary. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the Speaker's ruling on that particular issue was very sound. The House by itself cannot, refer a matter to, a committee. I've never seen or heard any such thing happen in any parliament in the world, and I'm a bit surprised or taken aback, that this argument be made that, it should have been left to the House to decide on whether or not the issue be, referred to a committee. What I think the minority ought to be doing is to focus now on the task ahead, which is having made some allegations of wrongdoing, to be able to provide evidence to substantiate, all of the allegations that have been made. These are very, issues has misconducted himself in the way he has managed in the affairs of and the finance. I mean, the thing he did, everybody who was a public servant and bring his own, crew, from data bank.
Right.
So there's a lot that has gone on at the Ministry of Finance, and it's important that Parliament seizes opportunities like this, to put ministers in their place, so that in the future, no minister will think that they are onto authorities unto themselves and could do whatever they like. So we've got a fine opportunity. My hope is that the majority group in Parliament would rise to the occasion, would seize the moment, and be on the right side of history.
All right, then.
And not boycott proceedings as have been directed by their party, but to look at what is in the best interest of the public and follow the conscience.
All right. And definitely, the conversation is just beginning, so I'm sure that we'll reconnect some other time. Ras Mubarak, former MP for Kumbung, also sharing his thoughts with us on what's just happened in Parliament. We're grateful for your time. Let's cross over. It appears that more reaction is greeting this. The majority side there addressing and stating their side of the argument. Alexander Penyo Marking, Deputy Majority Leader, addressing the press. You're on the JoyNews channel. Please stay.
And who say any day is that we should follow due process. I'm quite sure that you are all aware that some members of the minority are facing criminal trial. I believe that it is their legitimate expectation. They are given fair trial. And they are heard, instead of simply appearing before a court and the judge acting ultra vires of the Constitution. So we approached our issue on grounds of procedure, fair trial. And we are happy that after the beautiful discourse, the nature of which established democracies have practiced over the years, a committee has been constituted to enact the rule of procedure and determine issues of evidence which would form a prima facie ground for a report for the plenary. And for the purpose of further elucidation, you know that in the United States Constitution, there is a provision on bills of impeachment. A bill of impeachment basically similar to our censure or removal of somebody in public office. They have an enactment, a procedure for carrying out that exercise. Like Mr. Speaker said, this is a novelty. Although in the Constitution, Article 82, the provision is there, but we've really not touched it before, since 1992. In fact, the first attempt was by Honorable Kofi Konedu Apreku of Finsu North in 1999. But the form of his motion was for the then Minister, Kwame Pepra, to resign because of stated reasons. This one specifically refers to the 82. And if you go to the Hansard, the then majority, including Honorable Avoka, who is still in the chamber, argued that that step they were taking was unknown to the standing orders and the Constitution. And that if they really wanted to come under censure, they should now go properly in substance and in form. So I think posterity is playing back issues of due process to all of us. And there's no bad feeling. Honorable K.T. Amon was nominated by our side to lead the committee. So he is a co-chair of the committee. Honorable Patrick Boama, also a lawyer, a respected lawyer, is a member. From our side, we have Kwame Enyimedu Entry, a member from our side. And finally, our respected colleague, Ejapa Mesa, who is also the Deputy Minister of Energy, as a member. We have every confidence in Honorable K.T. Amon to lead our side. He is a QC. He's practiced law in the United Kingdom for over 20 years. Being called to the English bar and also a member of the Ghana bar.
Abide by the rules of English
yes.
bar.
So yes.
I wasn't made a QC before I returned to Ghana, so don't argue to me. Because I would be referred to your grade to be checked.
No, he's a senior member of the bar.
I may have become, if I hadn't left, senior member.
Very well. A senior member of the House, a senior member of the bar is leading our side, and we have every confidence in him. Gentlemen and ladies of the press, you see, in Akan, yes, you of Fonsa Shawonsa, Etia Obi Intenya na Etia Onyonkwa Netia. Inti Yaya Diane se, Dia Yenuanomo Ekekano, Yanka say any omun yadrin, but the Aya can say, so who bo be kwedu, who can say Obi di bone, and Obi Ayanuome bia essay or minor, Manukwain no so enkasa. Echine ne edu wonso so. Echine na woso obi edibibi eto so. Intino yasemo ano no. We mean no harm. We are willing to cooperate with them, and I believe that the respondent himself, when afforded the opportunity, he would have the chance to either represent himself in person or by counsel. So I would at this point cede to Honorable K.T. Amon. He may have a few words for you to assure you of our commitment.
No, leader, no. Co-chairman, you don't want to hear my views now, do you? You won't hear my views now? Good afternoon, guys.
Okay, thank you, sir.